Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Andrew and welcome to Day and Night Code. In this video, we're going to be talking about which programming language to learn for 2023 and which one to not learn so that way you won't be wasting your time. Like and subscribe this video and let me know what you think. First off, I just want to let you know before we start, just picking a language is not enough. So, just a fair warning, before we start, I just want you to know, just picking a language and learning the syntax is not enough. A lot of times we get into this habit of just picking some programming language and not knowing what we want to do. That's not good. I always suggest you find something you are trying to get into, whether that's web development, whether that's Android, iOS, desktop, gaming. It does not matter. Definitely make sure you pick what you're trying to do first before you start learning any type of code of any sort. That'll help you in the long run when it comes to looking for a job or even building a portfolio, because you can learn Python because everybody tell you to learn it, but you may not want to learn it because maybe you don't want to do machine learning, or maybe you don't want to do back-end development with Django or anything. So definitely make sure you pick which route you want to go when learning how to code. Okay, so first off, do not, I repeat, do not learn C programming. And some of y'all veterans gonna be like, yo, what he talking about? See, the best language to start with, yada yada yada. But I say do not learn it, because in today's world, 2022, 2023 coming up, you really not gonna use it as much as you would with Java, Python, JavaScript, C Sharp. It is good to learn if and only if your job requires you to learn C programming. Maybe if you learn 4 or 5 or 6 programming language, maybe you learn Java, C Sharp, JavaScript, Python, or I don't know, even Kotlin or something, and then you want to learn C programming, definitely learn it on your spare time. But that is only if you learn 3 to 4 to 5 other languages, or your job requires you. And the type of jobs you may find with that is systems programming or embedded systems. So if you're not doing those type of jobs, like for example, if you're a web developer and you learn to C programming, you are basically wasting your time. I would say if you're doing programming for mobile apps, you're still probably wasting your time, only if you're getting like into the nitty gritty of the phone device itself and not just building apps. If you're just building apps, don't worry about it, because it's probably not needed. But if you're just looking for something to do on your spare times after you got your first job or second or third job and you're trying to learn C, definitely do it. But just starting out, don't do it. It's bad. No, 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 no. Next up, we got C++. I would recommend C++, but only in certain type of fields. Definitely if you was trying to get into game development, and I'm not saying indie game development, I'm saying you're trying to work for a AAA studio and you're trying to get in with maybe, EA Sports, Blizzard, all those other good, game development companies that like to hire programmers for game development. Definitely learn C++. Also, if you're working with a private sector company that, like I say, if your job requires you to know this stuff, definitely do it. Definitely learn a programming language and build stuff with it. But if you're looking to get into game development, which is very niche, then obviously you're gonna need to learn C++. And if you learning trying to get into a studio, you're gonna need to learn C++. And you may also need a degree. Once you pick C++ up and you get the hang of it, it's easier to learn any other language, because that's probably going to be one of the hardest languages you learn if you start with this first. But if you're not doing AAA game development, I would stay away from C++ as well. If your school not teaching you this, if the job telling you you don't need to learn it, then definitely don't learn it. Next up, we got Java. Learning Java in 2023 is the same thing as learning Java in 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018. Java will always have plenty of jobs. Always. It's like an industry standard for jobs. The enterprise. Java has a big community. Java even got its own certification. So if you're looking to get a job, in web development, most likely if you're trying to maximize your reach, I would definitely say learn Java. It's good for desktop applications, back-end web development, Android, and like I said, you're mostly going to be working with enterprise companies. And I think the only downfall, if you're not planning on going back to school, is you may need a degree. If you don't have a degree, I would say have a super awesome portfolio. But if not, definitely you may need that degree. And if you already have a degree, learning Java will be a big help. I know a lot of companies are putting you through boot camps with Java just to place you to another enterprise company. And I think you have to be there for like 2 years in order to keep everything or whatnot. But if you're looking for something to maximize your job opportunity and you have a degree, definitely learn Java. If you don't have a degree, like I said, just make sure your portfolio is amazing. Otherwise, you'll be getting outdue by people who have degrees. But if you don't have a degree, and you're trying to go into another niche area like Android, you can do Android with Java, it's most likely Kotlin now. Now, if you're dead set focused on mobile development, definitely learn Kotlin. You want to do something with mobile, I would definitely say do Android and Kotlin. A lot of people are talking about cross-platform like JavaScript, React Native, Flutter. But if you don't have an iPhone or a MacBook, you're basically wasting your time doing cross-platform because the whole point of cross-platform is having both. But if you don't have both, go with Kotlin, the new language for Android, and it's pretty easy. I've used it and I loved it. I also use Flutter, but I don't have a MacBook or iPhone, so like I say, if you're trying to do cross-platform, then you may have to invest in a MacBook or iPhone or something of that sort. That way you can get the best of both worlds. But if you do not have that, then Kotlin is where it's at. Even though it is niche, I do believe because the competition is not that fierce as like web development, you'll be able to maneuver and get your first job. We can't talk about Android without talking about iOS. If you got a MacBook, technically, if you got a MacBook, you can do cross-platform because you can run Android and Xcode on iOS, and you can connect your Android and iPhone to iOS and do cross-platform. But if you're not set on doing cross-platform and you don't like how Android look or acts or any way, and you just the Apple fan, boy or girl, definitely learn Swift. I do have question marks about Objective-C, and that's only because I say only learn Objective-C if your job requires you to learn Objective-C. Same thing with C and C++. If your job does not require you to learn those languages, you're literally wasting your time. You want to be more productive learning Objective-C. You could be learning how to do cool and amazing things with Swift that are advanced. If they don't require you to learn Objective-C and they are fine with you with just knowing Swift and being an advanced Swift user or whatnot, then don't learn it and just, like I said, keep going with Swift. Apple and their products are pretty good. Their environment is great. I don't think you can go wrong with that environment. It is niche like Android, but if you are good at what you do, I'm pretty sure, as you can see on the average per year, they will pay. One upside about Apple. Next on this list, we do have C Sharp once again. There is plenty of job opportunities. I think with Java and C Sharp, if you have a degree, you have a decent portfolio, you can go very, 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 very far with just these two languages and never have to learn. You may have to learn JavaScript, but you know, if you're dead set on just knowing these two, Java and C Sharp, you can go very far. With C Sharp, you have Xamarin. I don't hear too much about it. If you do go that route, it may be extremely niche, so just be aware of that. But you do have desktop and back-end web development, so You can kind of pick and choose depending on the company you work at. Once again, they do have a big community just like Java, and it is enterprise. The one thing with C Sharp that has an edge over Java is Unity 3D game development. It is one of the big game engines out there next to Unreal. So if you did want to do game development, even for a big company, because I think EA, they do mobile apps too as well, and a lot of these big companies are doing mobile apps as well. I just saw Diablo on Android. So it's like, these big companies are doing mobile apps as well. So if you do know Unity 3D and you wanted to work for a big company or a medium-sized company or even an indie company, or you just wanted to do something yourself, you definitely can. And if you were to pick out a job with C Sharp, I would definitely say C Sharp only because it has that edge. But if you don't like Microsoft, and I know a lot of people don't like Microsoft, so if you don't like them, you don't have to. But I would say if you're looking for a job that has a wide variety, definitely try to check out C Sharp. Next, we have Python, the most talked about programming language that everybody's talking about. You must learn it. Most colleges are switching to Python. It is beginner friendly. It is extremely versatile. You can do AI, data mining, machine learning, deep learning, network development, web development, desktop development. You can do almost anything with Python, even make a game that may run kind of good, but you can do it. It is fast growing and it is in high demand. It is one of those languages that just keeps getting popular over the years and years and years. And I do believe it's going to continue to grow even into 2023. So you can't go wrong with Python. I would say the only downfall is if you're trying to be a game developer, there's no point in learning Python. If you're trying to do front end development, there's no point in learning Python. I would say don't just jump on the Python train just because people are telling you to. Don't do that. If you want to learn a different stack, do that as well. A lot of people tell you to learn Python, even if it's just code. But if that is not your goal is to build mobile apps, then maybe Python isn't the way to go. Some people will tell you to learn Kiwi for mobile apps, but don't do that. If you are looking to get into web development and even back-end web development, definitely learn Python. Or if you're looking for that machine learning, AI realm, or data science, definitely learn Python. And it will be very beneficial in the long run. I don't think you need a degree. Some jobs I see you do, others I see you don't. But just make sure, once again, you have a good portfolio, and I'm sure a job will be willing to take a chance on you, especially as a first language. Next, we have JavaScript. And JavaScript is the most popular programming language out of all of them, and that is because you can run it on the front end and back end. You can do all types of crazy things with JavaScript. And if you are learning JavaScript, or if you do have your mind set to learning JavaScript, just know you will have to run into HTML and CSS. And basically, a lot of web development stuff will be pushed on you. I know you can do a lot of JavaScript with Electron as desktop apps or whatnot. But just know if you are trying to learn JavaScript, you're most likely going to be pushed into the web and you're going to be learning frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue, or any of those other apps that they got. Also, you'll probably be learning Bootstrap or one of the micro CSS frameworks as well. There are a lot of tutorials out there, so definitely take advantage of that. And one upside that JavaScript has is technically don't even need a degree. I mean, you got Free Code Camp, Coursera, Udemy, YouTube, all these places you can learn JavaScript. I would say you don't need a degree. You could go to a boot camp because I see a lot of boot camp push those, but I wouldn't go to a boot camp in 2023. You'll just be wasting your money because there's so much information out here. You just have to push yourself and be consistent. So definitely, I would say take the self-taught route and just try to find somebody you can code with. Definitely when you're doing any language, and that'll help tremendously. But JavaScript is beginner friendly. There's a lot of tutorials, and you won't go wrong with JavaScript. Learning JavaScript, you may just stay in that environment for a very long time. Depending on the company you're working at, they may try to gradually push you to the back end, and they may use Node. And if they use Node, it's just more JavaScript. If not, then you'll probably be learning a second language like Python or C Sharp or Java, depending on the company. Next up, we have PHP, and I know a lot of people are looking like, what the heck? But yes, PHP is still alive and is still kicking. For some strange reason, it just is. It is the back end language of the web. They say 95% of the web is PHP. You can't go wrong with it. It is easy to learn. The only thing I say is it just is not so much of a duct tape language. A lot of the features that were bad are better now. It's more mature. If you do PHP, just know you are basically focusing on web development and nothing else. No mobile, no anything, just strictly web development. It does have huge libraries you can learn from. And one other thing you can do, if you just didn't want to do full stack web development, you can go into WordPress, and WordPress is its own environment. So just try not to be tricked up with WordPress and full stack because it's two totally different environments. It's a lot easier than just building a full stack web application. You can also freelance. So if you're trying to get a job super ASAP and you didn't want to learn any of those other languages I was talking about, you could definitely learn a little bit of PHP, maybe learn some WordPress, some HTML, some CSS, and you can literally go find a job. I even have an example where I built some random wedding site, showed it to the client, they hired me, and I barely knew anything, but they took a chance. It was definitely a learning opportunity. And if you're looking to get in web development, and maybe you want to switch over to Python later on, but you just kind of want to get the hang of everything and how databases connect and how the front end connects to the back end, definitely learn PHP. And you're looking to make money faster than normal. Yes, definitely learn PHP. It does have a low entry barrier, and that can be a downfall only because pay range is a lot different from all the other programming languages. You will start off a lot lower. Even the job I got was like a lot lower. You know, a lot of jobs tend to not look down upon, but just it's a lot of access to PHP developers, especially from third world countries. So you'll be competing with a lot of countries that don't need a lot of money. So just keep that in mind. But if you are okay with that, definitely learn PHP and definitely try to learn as much as you can and learn a framework like Laravel and just keep upping your game until one day you decide to switch or one day, you know, the company tell you to learn something new. But if you learn PHP with JavaScript, you're still not going wrong because you do have some JavaScript experience. Okay, and those was the languages you should be learning or should not be learning in 2023. But ultimately, it comes down to choosing a path. What are you interested in? Do you like web, mobile systems, AI, anything? Do you hate all of them and you just want to be a designer? Or you just want to be a manager or something? You know, you have to pick a path. You have to choose which route you want to go. Don't learn Python and you want to be an Android or iOS developer, you know, you just backtracking. Yeah, don't even learn Python if you want to be a game developer. You know, you'll be wasting a year making games with Python when you could have took the year learning Unity or Unreal. You know, so try to pick a path. And if you don't know what path, look around to see what interests you. See some of the things that you are interested in when it comes to technology. I promise you, you won't go wrong. The biggest choice you could make is not picking a programming language, it is picking a path. And the language is just a tool. If you want to build a house, you wouldn't go out and get motorcycle parts. You know, it's don't make sense. Make sure you have a keen focus of what you are trying to build and just stick towards it. Even if it's something different, like systems, you technically don't have to pick C++ or C or anything. You can pick Rust, you know, and you can learn Rust and go into that little niche right there and be able to get a job building systems with the Rust programming language. Like I say, it's all falls down to choosing a path. And that path is entirely up to you. So until then, I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm out.